I did not know Barry White was on the playlist, but Lord have mercy. I'm so glad that that is over. Hold on. Wait. I cannot hear you.
Oh, that's why you can't hear me.
Oh.
My bad.
All right. All right. Well, we have Miss Caitlin Gooch here, and she is going to talk about so you want to start a nonprofit and basically all the things that entails. So I'm super excited to have her come on and kind of share the information that she has gathered, because I know, because I saw the process. It's not easy, okay? And I feel like a lot of times people like want to keep stuff a secret and stuff. Anywho, Caitlin's going to give the rundown. And if you have any questions for her, please leave them in the chat and we'll let her do her thing, and then come back and discuss. So, all right, take it away.
All right, so I'm super excited to talk today. I am Caitlin Gooch. I'm the founder of Saddle Up and Read nonprofit. We're based in Wendell, North Carolina, and we use our horses to encourage kids to read. And so how that kind of got started was I saw that there was a need and I knew I wanted to fill it. And that need was kids need to see that it's important to read. Kids need books so that they can read. And when I looked around, there were organizations doing that, but they weren't doing it to the capacity that I thought was needed. Because in the past 10 years, if you didn't know, the illiteracy rates in the United States have not changed. So while there are literacy programs out there, those efforts aren't, I guess, moving things along in a way that we need them to. So I said I would use my horses to get it moving. And that's what I've done. And it's what I'm going to continue to do through Saddle Up and Read. But the journey to start that was not easy. I started doing this outside of a nonprofit 3 years ago in 2017. We did not become a nonprofit until last year, which is when I actually filled out the paperwork. And I know paperwork might scare some people, but don't be afraid of paperwork. You just research it yourself or find someone to help you move through it, which is what I did. I found an accountant who worked with nonprofits, and she helped me file for a 501c3. She helped me file with the Secretary of State, and we did all of that. And in 2 months, we had our 501c3 nonprofit status. That is not the case with everyone. So sometimes it might take longer, but ours did take 2 months. And so that's just a little bit about us. And I'm just going to go through some things that I learned on this journey and things that I really wish I knew in the beginning. Because in those 3 years, I was kind of just going with the flow and I was doing what was needed instead of making actual plans and organizing actual steps, you know? So I am going to go through all this good stuff. So some top things to consider. Is your organization needed? Are there already nonprofits that exist that do what it is that you're thinking of starting? And that is the first question you should seriously ask yourself. Just like when I started Saddle Up and Read, I did look at other literacy programs, but I did not find many who also included horses. So I knew that having that horse factor was going to sell it for kids reading books. So that's something to think about. Is it needed? If it is needed, you know, let's move on. But if it's not needed, find those organizations that already exist and figure out how can you support them, because they're going to need your help. If they've already went through all of this and they have their nonprofit up and running, then help them. figure out what it is that they need. Do they need a volunteer? Do they need someone to update their website? Do they need new board members? Do they need financial assistance? So figure out where those organizations are and if you can help them already. Our country is oversaturated with nonprofits. And I know this is sounding like I'm discouraging you from starting a nonprofit, but these are just facts. Anybody can get a nonprofit and start one in this country. It is a click of a button online. Yes, you may be turned down for tax exempt status, but that's not always the case. It's pretty easy. So knowing that we have all these nonprofits, we're fighting for resources. We're fighting for, let me get my stuff together. Oh, we're fighting for resources. All of the resources are being stretched thin. And because there's so many nonprofits, everything is competitive. When it comes to grants, that's why grants have deadlines, because they have to go through all the applications that they receive. So that's just something to think about. And we don't want anyone to just pour in all this effort into starting a nonprofit when they can just pour that same effort into supporting one that exists. Because a lot of times nonprofits start as fast. I mean, nonprofits start and then they die extremely fast because that person or that group of people didn't do the research first. So there's that. The next thing is to actually get started. It is great to sit down and plan and have your thoughts written out and everything clear. But if you don't actually make movement to get started, they're just going to be words on paper. So one thing that I tend to think about, because when you do start anything, you know what it is that you know. And like the Rude said earlier, we know what we don't know that we don't know. So I think that you need to be qualified in what it is that you do know. So that just means, will you need certifications? Will you need a specific training? For example, CPR. I know that sounds like something that's really simple, but what if there is an application you want to apply for later on down the road and you need a CPR certification? Well, how long is that going to take? So figure out, what are you qualified to do? And what do you need to be qualified to do to run that nonprofit? Because you don't want to have any roadblocks. And let's just prevent that from the get-go. Yeah. And again, you don't want to be in the middle of receiving this great opportunity or in the midst of something really awesome happening. And then you go to apply, or you show up and you talk to this person or a donor and they're like, okay, so tell me who's on your team and what special license or certifications and trainings do they have? And you can't give them an answer. So I hope you all can see how that would kind of delay some of your plans for your organization. So let's make sure that we know those things ahead of time. Is your vision and your mission clear? This is the things that I'm talking about right now are things that you need to think about before you decide to start a nonprofit. And vision and mission are two different things. Vision is your future goals, and it's the direction that you're going. And the mission is your present objective. That is the impact that you're making now. So those are two different things. You need to make sure those are clear and have them written out. Sometimes a vision can just be one or two, a few sentences, but most of the times mission statements are about one sentence. And you just want them to be simple and clear. So when you start talking about what it is that you're doing, people can just grasp the concept like that. Let me check. Oops. Okay. So is your vision and your mission clear? I want to see if anybody is talking in the chat. Okay. Before I keep going on. Our mission is pretty simple. We encourage kids to read by using our horses. That's the impact that we're making now. We're encouraging kids to read. Our vision is to help to help the e-literacy rates and just fill in where needed. So that's like a long-term goal. It's our future goal. Start strong. This is something I wish I considered 3 years ago. You cannot run a nonprofit organization by yourself. You can't. You can try, and there's probably some people who have been successful at it, and they have an amazing nonprofit that has a team and all of that. But you can't do it by yourself. You will burn out, your passion will die, and let's just prevent that from happening. So how do you prevent that from happening? You need an awesome board and an amazing team of volunteers. And I hope when you think of having like a board, you think of people who have resources and skills, and not just, like people that you would just choose because they're your friend or a relative. You want your board to be made up of people who have skills and who are also passionate about your organization. Because people who are passionate go the extra mile, and they get up and they do what it is. They do what needs to be done for the organization. So you have to think about that. I know we all want to include our friends and family members and things that we're doing, but it's not always helpful if those people aren't in alignment with your vision and what it is that your organization is making a statement to do. So think about who those people could be. List all the people that you want to reach out to and ask, because not all of them are going to say yes. Somebody's going to say no. And that's just the way it is. You might have to go network and meet some new people. I know that sounds scary, but it's just something that you'll have to do. Oh my goodness, where was I? Okay, volunteers. So having a team of volunteers. Volunteers are amazing. Yes, they do help for free, but volunteers can get your nonprofit to where you want it to go. There are going to be people that you need to do things that you're not going to think of yet. Like, I would have never thought that I would need a volunteer to like clean off books, or to just show up and put books away, or show up when someone is saying, hey, we have some books to donate. Where can we drop them off? There are so many little tasks that you can just give to a volunteer, and it will make everything so much better. Because back to, you cannot do this by yourself. Just imagine trying to organize when people can drop off items that you need, organize and clean up, especially if we happen to go through another pandemic and your nonprofit is operating. You're going to need someone to help clean up things, to sanitize, like right now, So that is something to think about. And then, of course, the bigger jobs, working directly with people, doing things behind the scenes, all of that stuff. So let's, think about that. Y'all, I had to keep my space. I wrote out these notes, and I'm like, where did I stop? Oh my goodness. Board members and volunteers do not have to stay the same forever. Having short-term board members is probably ideal because, one, it prevents burnout. And burnout is just when you're going through your organization and all your different events and planning and meetings, eventually someone is going to be tired of doing that. And let's just prevent that from happening, because you don't want anyone to, despise your organization. You want people to leave happy and just know that the contribution they made to your organization was well perceived, and that you enjoyed their time there, and that you were just thankful for everything they brought to the table. So let's prevent burnout and change over those board members. A 6-month term, 1-year term, 2-year term at tops. After that, they have to go and just bring in some new people, because new people bring new perspective, they bring new ideas, they bring new resources. So I think that is like the number one to remember. If you don't remember anything else from today, just remember your board members and volunteers do not have to be permanent. They can change. But you do want some long-term volunteers just so that they can show the new volunteers the ropes. But give those people breaks. Give them breaks. Let's just prevent burnout. Okay, I know I said that was the number one thing. This is actually the number one thing. Require your board members to give gifts. I'm looking directly into the camera. If you start a nonprofit, your board members need to give gifts. And what I mean by that is every year there should be a required gift giving from the board members. This will help you with planned funding. If you know that you have 6 board members and every year they have to give $200 to $300, you already know that you will have that money and what you're going to do with those funds. That has to be a requirement. If they cannot agree to that, they do not need to be on your board. I'm sorry to say that. No, I'm not. It just has to be the way it is. I truly believe that people who will go out their way to do that, and they know that this is what's required of them every year or every 6 months, however you put it, and they save up for that. That means they believe in your nonprofit. They believe in your passion and your vision and the mission that you created. So you want to keep those people around. You want to make sure that they're aware of that in the beginning. Don't ask them, and they say yes, and then you bring it up, because that would put them in an awkward position, because you want people to be able to plan for that. And you don't want to put them in a bind if they can't afford to do that. So no hard feelings, just that has to be a requirement. Hire, Abriana, get back up here. Hire somebody to do the planning. There you are. Not the planning, I'm sorry. Hire somebody to do the branding, the logo, the website. Do not try to do that by yourself if you don't know how. Because there are so many small technical things that go into this. Like if you don't know what an SEO is, then you need to find somebody who does. Everything is digital. People are looking at websites. They're looking at the content on your websites. They're looking at what it is that you're doing, and they want to see it clearly. They don't want to go through a bunch of tabs and have to go find all this other stuff. No, just hire somebody to do it. You don't have to think about it. And if you find somebody who is qualified and willing to do it pro bono, then that's even better. But if you can hire somebody, hire somebody. Yeah. And so I said Abriana, because Black Unicorn Creative.
Yes. I think it's I think people get kind of caught up in the hype of like, oh, what's my logo gonna look like? What's my, and kind of just what these visuals are gonna look like. But like you said in the very beginning, you have to be able to tell me what your vision is and tell me what your mission is. And as a professional that does these kinds of things, I want to be able to relay this through your graphics and through your logo and through your website. I don't want, if you, I don't know, if I want to be able to, on Saddle Up and Read's site, to say, hey, this program is using these horses to help these kids in these ways, and not have to just write it out like Saddle Up and Read does that. I want to be able to post pictures, and get that message kind of portrayed to everyone without having to sit there and explain things over and over and over, and in different ways. Like, you need to kind of have that confident mission and that vision. And like you said, in these grants, when you're trying to get funding and stuff, they don't want uhs and ums. They don't want, like the Reds were talking about earlier, they want to have that verbiage. Like, you need to be able to say what you need and how you want to receive it. Like, you got to be clear.
Yeah. Speaking of funds, you have to create and plan a budget. If you don't do that, you're not going to know what to say when the donors ask you. So because they're going to say, what is your budget? What programs do you all have? What funds are allocated for those specific programs? Because they might want to just give money for you to do a specific thing. For example, people have sent money for us to only buy books. That means that with those funds they sent, the purpose of those funds is for us to buy books. Now, people can send money and just say, hey, do with it what you want. But if somebody says, we want to put this towards your horse feed budget or your book budget or your transportation budget, you have to do that. And it has to reflect on your annual financial reports. So don't try to move funds around because the IRS will come after you. Yeah, so you have to know what your budget is and create a plan. And you need to know it for grants, and it helps you stay organized for your events throughout the year. Because if you look at your budget and you see that some of your events need more funds than others, then you need to put those funds where they need to go. Or else you're going to be short and you don't want anything coming out of your own pocket. That's a no-no. While we're talking about this, I was paying for stuff out of my own pocket in the beginning. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just start talking about what it is that I'm doing and what I want to do. And I started asking for donations. But my donations that I asked for were actually books. I was just asking for book donations. And then people start to say, well, do you need anything else? And I would say, yes, we need funds. Because in the beginning, with those applications, I think I spent around maybe $300 just for those fees and applying for like our name and applying for the 501c3. It's different in every state. So I did pay for that out of pocket. But if I had said what it is that I was doing and maybe made it known that I needed help in starting the nonprofit and would help with those fees, I think that would have just been covered from the beginning. And you don't always have to make a post. Bring it up in conversation with people you trust, people who support you, because that's how you're going to figure out, you know, if somebody's really going to say yes or they're just going to say no. So you don't have to just post stuff and flood your timeline.
Yeah. How did you overcome the fear of, I mean, I won't say fear, but like hesitancy of asking for help, whether it be like asking for donations or like asking for help, like physically, can you help me do this? How did you kind of get past that?
That's a great question. I feel like I was kind of pushed to get past it because we were growing fast. Once I did our library event and then I started working with the Boys and Girls Club and the kids started talking about it more. And I just started sharing it at my job at the time, which was at a childcare center. Everybody was like, okay, well, when can we come? When can y'all come here? And they just wanted to see more. And then I was just like, okay, well, I am not balling. So I was just like, all right, hey, y'all, can y'all help me? This is what I'm doing. I need books. I need some help. I need transportation because, you know, I didn't have a truck and a trailer and I had to haul horses to places. So I just had to. We were growing really fast. And what was I going to do? Say no? Like say no to those kids and their precious faces? I couldn't do that. So I was kind of forced to do it.
Yeah. And I think that, like you said, like in the beginning, like you had like a thought and an idea of how you wanted it to go. But once you kind of put your vision and your mission like out there, like this is what's happening, it's going to force you to move in ways that you didn't even think of initially, because it was like an idea, like I would like to do this. And then it's like, no, this is what's happening. So I need resources. It starts moving faster than you. And then you're like, oh, snap, this ball is rolling. Like, let's go then. So, Maisha had a question. What about money? I wanted to start a nonprofit, got my 501c3, but have no idea how to start out with funds for a start a nonprofit.
Make a calendar of important dates, which was my next thing. You need to know the national holidays. Y'all know how now it's like National Sock Day, National Read a Book Day, National Boyfriend, Girlfriend, Auntie, Husband Day. Figure out what holidays match your niche, because people are going to look. They're going to be like, okay, well, today is National blah, blah, blah day. Who can I support? So you need to have those on your calendar. Have your campaign ready, your images, your text, have your link to the donation, wherever they need to send funds to, have that ready. It is free publicity because people already know. It's a hashtag already made. You use that, you start publicizing for it before the day comes, and then when the day comes, you just go all out. So have those on your calendar. And be prepared for Giving Tuesday. I think Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, I believe. Y'all have to look that up. But you need to prepare for that, because people are like, okay, I'm so thankful. I done ate this turkey. I'm full. I gained the extra 10 pounds. They want to help. They want to help somebody. They want to give back. And then it's right in between Christmas. So yes, people are out shopping, but people really want to give during Thanksgiving and Christmas. They're just like, okay, I'm so grateful I made it to this far in my life. Who can I give to? So that is probably where the bulk of your funds are going to come from. Around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. So prepare for that, because you don't want that day to come and then you're like, dang, I should have made something. I should have talked about this so people knew ahead of time, because people sometimes already know where they're going to give to. And they're like, oh, I give to this organization every year. Hold on, Playboy. You ain't know that I was doing this. So make sure that people are informed of what you're doing.
Yeah. And Maisha, I would kind of second that or add to this conversation, like, who are you talking to? Have you told anybody about your 501c3? Are you talking about it in the community? Are you talking about it, with your clients? Have you gotten your vision and your mission down? Because you don't want to start talking about something and you don't have the answers to people's questions. Yeah. So I think the way that you kind of have to open yourself up for the money. Like, say, this is what I'm doing, make it rain. Okay. Yeah. And once you get to that point where you can talk about it confidently, there's programs out here that are talking about what they are gearing up to do, and they are garnering that support, and they haven't even done it yet. And it's because they're talking about it with confidence, and they have a plan in place, and they have a vision, and they have partnerships. You just got to kind of put yourself out there and open yourself up to receiving that money. And then get started.
Get started. And then grow stronger. Once you lay that strong foundation, you can't stay there, because you're gonna grow. I mean, we went from just having kids at the farm to going to see kids, so you have to grow stronger. So build real relationships with the donors. People who give money are going to want to know what's going on. They want to know where's their money going. They want to know that you're a genuine person, and it's okay to just build those relationships with those people. You don't got to be best friends, but, just talk with them and tell them what it is that your organization is doing, struggles y'all are going through, what success stories y'all have, because they want to know. Check on your board, and your volunteers. There is probably nothing worse than somebody just meeting someone who is a part of your organization, but they don't know what to say. Make sure that they know what is happening. Make sure that they know the answers to those questions. Because somebody might say, hey, they might have on a t-shirt and be like, what does that org do? And if they can't answer that, then you need to reevaluate who is in your organization. Not only that, make sure they're okay. Are they going through something in life that maybe you could help with? Do they need a break? Is everything okay? You know, have they had any experiences that are positive that you need to know about, or anything negative that you need to know about? You need to know those things, and you need to know if they're comfortable with actively talking about your nonprofit. You just need to know that, because they're an extension of your nonprofit organization, and who knows what kind of people they're around. They could be around people who can donate large amounts. They could be around people who might decide they want to donate monthly in small amounts. All of it adds up. And they could be around people who want to be nosy. So make sure that everybody has, I guess, their head on straight when it comes to those things, and set the standard. Set it early. You know, there's a time for personal chat, and then there's a time for business and talking about your nonprofit. So set those standards.
Yeah. Let me tell you right now, I can talk about Saddle Up and Read like I'm Kate. Like, I'm gonna just put on my pants. Saddle Up and Read does. You know, I'm gonna spit it out. Because that is that investment. You know, you got to make sure you have people that are invested and will talk about you in places where you cannot be.
Right. And are they active? You know about Saddle Up and Read because you're active in it. Yeah, so all of that it goes together and it makes sense. Another part of growing stronger is to track your progress. Have your donors increased? Do you have active donors? How many? How many active donors do you have a month? I know people probably just focus on like yearly and all that good stuff, once a year, blah, blah. You need to look at what's happening monthly, because anything can change. Those end of the year, like I was saying, like Christmas and Thanksgiving, that's at the end of the year. From January up until October, you need to figure out what is your progress. What does it normally look like? Has it increased? Has it decreased? Has it plateaued? You need to know those things, and your staff and your board need to know that as well, because again, if they're speaking to donors or going out to lunch with certain people who can help your organization, they need to be able to answer those questions or just bring it up casually, you know? And look at and pay attention to what part of the year you receive the most funds and build on that. You might have a unique event, and out of all your events, that event may bring in $500,000. You need to figure out how to make it $1 million. We're not making $500,000 over here yet. I don't know why that number came to mind.
Speaking it into existence, right, one of these events in the future is going to make $500,000. So we're talking about it now.
Yeah, we're just talking about it now. So you need to know that, because if so, you need to make sure that event is perfect to perfection and it flows like that every single year, because it's going to bring in more people, more donors, and more attention and more support. So that is how you grow stronger. Earlier I said that your donors are going to want to know what's happening in your organization. So keep that communication, whether it's weekly newsletters, sending out letters of updates, like tangible letters. Everything doesn't have to be an email. You might want to send out a postcard or something to those really big donors. Like maybe you have a standard of anyone who donates $500 and up, they get so-and-so. Just to keep them updated, because they're going to want to know, where is their money going to? What is actually changing? How has your organization made progress from when it started to now? They're going to want to know. And you need to be the first to tell them if anything bad happens. The last thing you want is for, I don't know, like let's just say somebody just steals something. You need to tell that this incident occurred before it's on the news, before they see it in the newspaper, before they hear about it. He say, she say, because that is going to help with your trust. You don't need to give anybody a reason to not believe that you're doing what you said that your organization is going to do.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened to us, and it better not. But if it does, y'all going to know that such and such happened, and this is what we're doing to fix it. I'm thinking with all that said,
good point.
I mean, it's stuff that I didn't think about at first, and then I learned, and then stuff I've been researching lately. Ooh, I didn't write this down. Research. Whatever your organization focuses on, you need to be updated on that research. What are the newest stats? Because people are going to come and look at you. Like for Saddle Up and Read, I talk about illiteracy all the time. I talk about the literacy rates. People are going to look at us and be like, okay, well, what are they? So we need to know, and we need to be able to tell people what they are and how they have changed or how they have not changed. Because where else are they going to find that information? And that, again, goes with websites. The person that's doing your website is going to need that information to update it. Because if somebody thinks of Saddle Up and Read and they think of books, they're going to go to our website and be like, okay, well, where do I find books? Where do I find information on this? So that's just something to think about. And of course, the ultimate goal is to be fully funded. You want those loyal donors to keep coming back. You want to be able to say, hey, here are grants that we qualify for, and we need to make sure we apply for them every year or every other year or whenever it's available. You need to be on that. You need to have somebody who's on that, because you never want to miss out on funds that are for you, for your organization. Along with being fully funded, you have to make sure your programs are planned out and budgeted. If you have the funds, you need to do something with the funds. Funds cannot just sit there. This is not a savings account. Those funds are for you to do stuff with them. We buy books all the time. That sounds like a store. We buy books. Is that a store?
I think it's a website.
Oh, wow. But yeah, we buy a lot of books. And that's because people are donating money. And books cost a lot. Being fully funded means that you can eventually hire a full staff and make a bigger impact. You do not need to be running around with your head in every pot that's in your organization. Your hands don't need to be in every pot. You need to have people who do that. Just like I said in the beginning, where are those people who have skills, those people who are passionate, those people who are willing to be active and talk about your organization? And then, if you're fully funded, you can pay those people. And if you're working for the nonprofit, keyword working, you get to pay yourself. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't get paid from your nonprofit, because you can. I am not at that point yet, but I hope to be one day when we're fully funded. Yeah. So keep that in mind. And is your board still giving? Make sure you have that written down when they sign it, and they know, and they sign up for this job, that they do have to give.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you want to be fully funded. You do not want to be worried about where your funds are coming from. If you're going to have enough money to do the things that you said you're going to do, you don't want your nonprofit to die out, and you don't want to, I'm going to just use us as an example. I never want to be in a situation where I cannot give a book to a child in need. I don't want to feel that, because I don't want to, let my community down. And that means that me and my team, we just have to put in the work to make sure that never happens. So that's the ultimate goal. Be fully funded. And just know that all of this is possible. keep that in your mind every single day. You're not gonna, well, if you haven't started one yet, just know that every day you might not feel the fire for it, but you just have to remind yourself. You have to remind yourself of those stories and the impacts that you've made and the changes and the progress that your organization has made, and just believe in it. Because if it's happened already, just think about if you just continue on, what will happen next. So I think that's everything that I have.
Yeah. That makes me think of what the Red said earlier. When Philip said, I have a vision for my property, and when I close my eyes, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
When I open my eyes, it doesn't look, my property doesn't look like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I work every single day to make it so that what I look at when my eyes are open starts to match what I see, you know, my dream, my vision when my eyes are closed.
Yes.
And I mean, they dropped so many gems. Like
they did. I need to listen to that right now. That sounds like
over and over. I was like
amazing
in here, like just mouth open, like having a that was anyway.
Yeah,
I feel like every nonprofit starts off kind of this same, or with that, they could use that advice. You know, it's not easy. Like, I've seen the transformation that Saddle Up and Read has gone through from, you know, when Caitlin and I first met, and she's like, I have a little program, it's called Saddle Up and Read. And now it's like, Saddle Up and Read.
I know.
We got our horse trailer. We're looking for a property funding. You know, like, she is yelling about it at this point. And yeah, so I mean, that's just inspiration. I feel like over the last year, like during this pandemic, like I feel like you have been so transparent with everyone on the progress of the program. No one can sit here and say they have not seen the transformation. Okay. Right. You know, it went from, you know, Caitlin's little thing. Like, y'all see what Caitlin's little thing to, did you see that on the news? Oh, look, there's another article. Oh, someone else told me about Saddle Up and Read. Like, we're like, yeah. And it took work.
Yeah.
It took work. It took networking. It took being humble. It took saying, this is the vision that I have, and it's bigger than me. So how, you know, you can't sit here and be humble about something and not be humble about something that's bigger than you. You know, how you can't be afraid to advocate for that vision that is bigger than you. So that's just my 2 cents. I know my section is next. But I'm just so proud of the progress, because like I see the in front of the scenes and behind the scenes, and it's just like so much has happened so quickly. And it's not it's not magical. Like, it's not like someone just gave Caitlin a handout and, you know, it's not any of those hateration thoughts. It's work. Like, you may not have seen it, and you may not be directly involved. You don't see it because you're not directly involved. But the sheer amount of work it has taken to get to this point, it's a lot.
Yeah. It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I didn't say. Make sure you have the time to start a nonprofit. Yeah, you're gonna need some time management for all of that.
Yeah. Dang, 4:45 on the dot. We better.
Right.
All right.
Experts at this.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you for coming on here.
you. Thank you for everyone listening. Thank you.
Yeah, Sharon. Does anyone have any last minute questions before we let Caitlin go?
And if anybody does have any other questions, just hit me up.
She'll be in the chat. She'll be in the chat today, but also you can just hit her up directly. That's fine too. Are you putting your info in the chat?
Yes.
Oh.
Instagram is probably best. Emails are flooded.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear you talk.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we need to wrap this up so I can get hurt.
Yeah, go ahead and put music back on.
Right. This playlist is everything. I'm like, I don't know if this flash drive is gonna go anywhere, honestly.
Sorry, Pop.
Right. All right, we will be back in about 15 minutes. Y'all know what to do at this point. We will see y'all a little bit later.
All right.
Bye. I am so glad that song had a natural fade out. That's why I had to let it roll out, because I'm not a real DJ and I didn't want to just cut it off for you guys. But welcome back to OG Festival. If you don't know, my name is Abriana. I'm just kidding. But I'm so glad that y'all have been rocking with us all day long. Shout out to you. I appreciate you just taking your time to, absorb all the goodness that we are putting out into the universe at this event. Okay. So I just wanted to give just a little conversation here today about developing a community of resources, because it's something that we as in myself and Caitlin, have been doing, continue to do, and a lot of people seem to have some questions about that. So I will say, some of my points, I'm like, I was going to talk about that. But it might be a little redundant, but sometimes people need to hear this more than once, okay? Because these skills that we are talking about, they can be used in so many avenues of your life, whether it be working with a nonprofit, whether it's working at your job at a for-profit situation, whether it be just, trying to achieve some of the personal goals that you have for yourself. All of these skills are applicable in these different areas. So I just kind of want to give some background, especially since we are here at OG Festival. Just give you guys some context to how we've gotten to where we are on this event today. Okay. So my first trail ride was in 2008. It was the Ed Hawkins trail ride. And I was trying to find the picture, but I can't find it. Picture Man took a picture of me. Caitlin's been talking about Picture Man a lot on our Instagram, but Picture Man printed out a picture of me, and I'm literally sitting atop a horse that I have outside right now. And that first trail ride was insane. Like, I did not know what I had gotten myself into when I started doing it, but the adrenaline rush and the sheer sense of just family and community at these events. I mean, that's why we're here, 12 years later, hosting this event in the middle of a global pandemic safely. We know some people are still holding events, but we still wanted to make sure that everyone was safe and that everyone would be able to participate. So last year, Papa Gooch told me and Caitlin, like, y'all got it next year. Y'all can host OG Fest. I'm tired. Okay. The new needs to come in and put this thing on. And I was like, yes, finally. That's what we've been waiting on. That's what we've been talking about, bring some fresh faces into this thing. Let the youth of this community of people step up and put on something to help further it in the future. Because once all the people that are doing it now are no longer here, who's going to carry on that legacy? Who's going to kind of push it past the limits, but make it bigger than what it is today? So my family and I, we go to these rides, and my dad started telling other people about it. So we had other people in our family, coming out to these things and just seeing the sense of community and fellowship and eating, and seeing all of the different people that you don't normally get to see. Everybody, they go to work and they're doing these, random things, whatever their profession is. Some of these people you work with you don't even know that this is what they do on the weekends. But come Friday, they're headed out, they're packed up, they got their campers and their trailers, everything headed to that trail ride for the weekend. So I just wanted to kind of share like a transition of that, how that kind of fostered this young Black equestrians community, and how we continue to build that community and the resources around that. So we started our podcast because we had some frustrations. Like, we want to, take this thing worldwide. We want to see so much. There's so much there. There's so much genuine passion and fellowship and just family atmosphere around these events. How can we make this bigger? And so we decided to at least just start talking about it. Get it out there, share with these people, share with the world, and say, hey, this is where we come from. Not sure, what y'all are doing, but if you're looking for this, sense of community or this atmosphere, this is what we got. This is what we do. Maybe you can do something like that too. And we got that ball rolling. And then we realized, there's a lot of people that don't have that sense of community, and they're trying to figure out, like, how do I step into this space? So we decided to talk to them. And in talking to them and allowing them to tell us their story brought them into our YBE community. So that kind of is like meeting Caitlin through these trail rides and trying to work to build a community around something that we're passionate about. We'll say trail rides, this OG Fest, like, this was the foundation for everything that we have at this point. But we did have to do the work to get there. And we did have to, like Caitlin said, have a vision and a mission and say, this is what we want our community to look like. This is what we want our community to be able to offer to the world. Because a lot of times people think that people of color don't have much to offer. So in trying to make our trail community, bigger, we went through a lot of things. We were told no many times. We tried to partner with people who didn't have the same vision as we did, or didn't have the same capacity to make it happen that we felt that we could. So a lot of changes happened. It was not an easy road by any means, and a lot of times people complain about social media and saying that people don't share their failures, but it's a process. Everything is a process. And we definitely went through a lot, but I guess the testimony in that is, don't let your nose stop your progress. people can say no to you, you know, every single day, but you come across that one person that says yes, you wouldn't know until you met them. You wouldn't know until you kind of progressed and got to that person. So in developing a community of resources, I mean, it breaks down pretty simple: who, what, when, where, and why. You know, we learned that in elementary school, right? So when you are looking to develop a community of resources, you have to figure out what it is you want to do. Okay, you have to figure out what, like Caitlin said earlier, is your niche. What kind of impact are you trying to make on the world? So for us, the impact we wanted to make, we wanted to be able to showcase the value and the importance of the Black cowboy, the Black horseman, the Black equestrian in this world. You know, it's a topic that is starting to become more popular, but you didn't hear much about them. You didn't see them in the media. A lot of people didn't know. Like I said earlier, you know, you don't even know that the people that you work with are doing these amazing things on the weekends. Like, you simply just don't know. So what is it that you want to do? That's first how you need to establish your community, establish your niche. You know, for my business, I am in graphics and web design. So I say, okay, I need to find these people. I need to understand that that is the community that I want to build resources around. So let me find that community. Who, that gets your who in there. Who is it? Who has done something similar? Who has done something similar to you? And do you have access to them? Can you reach out to them for mentorship? Can you learn from them? Do they share their process? And that's really why, you know, we continue to have these conversations. It's because we want people to be able to learn from our footsteps. We want to share this education because we had to pull it. You know, we had to do our research. We had to gather all of this information and process it in order to get where we are now. So who is in the space that you want to be? You know, can you look to them for mentorship? Can you glean any information from them that can get your process started as far as developing a community of resources in whatever capacity you would like? When you are looking at this person, if you have found someone who is either doing something similar to what you want to achieve or is in a different niche, but at the level that you want, figure out what you need to succeed. What is it that you are going to need to get to the place you're going? Yeah, Caitlin talked about earlier. You have a vision, you have a mission, you need the funds to get there. So understanding that she needed the extra money to make these things happen for these children, that was vitally important. That revelation is vitally important to the success of the program. So when you figure out your who is it that is in the place you want to be, figure out if you can connect with them, have some sort of mentorship, glean whatever knowledge, information that you can from them, and figure out what you need to succeed to create a community around what you want. All right, we had our who, we had our what. When you need to develop like a timeline of goals. What is it that you want? You've already got what you want to do. You need to develop a timeline of how that's going to happen. So if I say, you know, YBE, we want a TV show. What do I have to do to make that happen? Who do I need to connect with? And what is the timeline? What is normal? What is the expectation for this goal that we have? That's research, y'all. Like research, you literally have to scour the internet because people aren't giving this information out for free. Now, once we get to that point, we'll let you know. But even developing the podcast, you know, we created an idea in January. We listen to other podcasts and figured out, okay, this is how they do it. All right, they have an intro, boom, okay. Then they have what they talk about. Then they have an outro. Sounds good. All right. How do I do that for myself, for us? And so you need to develop a timeline to hit these tangible goals. You figured out your what already. You need to develop the timeline and figure out how you are going to navigate that space and get to there. You know, you can have overarching goals like 5-year plan, 10-year plan, all that, but you need a right now plan. You need to right now, what are the steps that I can take tomorrow to develop this community? What are the steps that we can do right now to get ourselves out there and start making a difference? So with YBE, we, created our Facebook pages. We told everyone about it. Hey, we're starting a podcast. People say, what is a podcast? It's like the radio on the internet, basically, and we were able to explain to people, this is what we're doing. This is our goal. We want to talk about Black equestrians, Black horsemen and women, the Black horse industry. That is what we're going to talk about. And we put our episodes out there and we said, hey, we're going to have an episode every week. And we pretty much got our timeline together of talking to people, talking amongst each other to record these episodes, and then talking to other people once we started to bring them into our community and getting these episodes out there for everyone to enjoy. Next one, we got our who, what, when, where. So you do need to figure out if this is like, are you trying to impact your local community? Are you trying to impact your community on like a statewide level? Are you trying to create a community at a national level? And understanding what is involved in that. Are you do you need to talk to local businesses to develop that community of resources? Or do you need to, get on email and start emailing contact information for these programs or companies across the country, across the world? You need to try to figure out where you are going to make your impact so that you know exactly what you need to do to get there. So Young Black Equestrians, we worldwide, baby. We're on a global level, okay? We didn't know that was going to be our impact until we were contacted from people in Ireland, in the UK, in Africa. We didn't know that was going to be our impact. But once we realized that our community was that widespread, we had to adjust. We had to realize that when we start scheduling stuff with people, we need to figure out what time zone they're in, because we're not just East Coast now, and they're like, oh yeah, I'd love to be on your podcast. It's like, okay, well, where are you at? What time zone are you in? Let's make this as successful as possible, because we're worldwide at this point, you know? And you have to adjust accordingly because you want to be able to deliver these resources. You want to be able to deliver the stories. You want to be able to coordinate yourself to make sure that what you got going on, you know, is at the right time as the person that you're working with. So we got the who, we got the what, we got the when, we got the where. Why? We got how too. All right, did we get how? Anyway, I'm gonna come back to how. Why? Why do you want to build a community? Why do you want to integrate this space? What is the why? For us, it was we wanted to be the people that we wish we had growing up. We wanted to be see, you know, Maisha, that is a great point. You know, yeah, you are exactly right. Times like coordinating this event completely was one of those times where we had to say, oh crap, let's try to make this as clear as possible. May have fallen short a little bit, but it worked out anyway. But yes, you have to figure out your why, because there's going to be days where it's not easy. There's days where we accidentally scheduled 2 or 3 interviews like back to back. And if you guys have ever been in a space like this, like it's exhausting. And it's not because we're pretending, but it's because you're engaging, you know, mentally, physically engaging with these people. And you want to be able to deliver, you know, this message, your message, as succinctly and as clearly as possible. So in those times where you're not sure that you want to do the work, or you're not sure that it's worth doing, you have to remember your why. Why did you get into this in the first place? Why did you even put yourself out there to receive a community? Why did you start? Like Caitlin said earlier, it's basically like a nonprofit, just developing a community around anything, your brand, your business, your hobbies. You just have to remember why. Why did you get started? And what's going to keep you going? Because you can, you know, have a why and get started and have a mission that you feel is like, if you feel like it's completed, then that's one thing. But like Caitlin said earlier, when you start to get other people involved, that's when your mission and your vision starts to evolve, and it goes into different perspectives and things like that. So if you determine your why at this moment, it's going to push you past the feeling of inadequacy. It's going to push you past the hard days. It's going to push you farther, because once you start talking about what you're doing and why you're doing it, your communities are going to come, and it's going to build. And it's going to be the reason why I could call Ashani the day before and say, hey, I know you like to do public speaking. Do you want to speak at OG Fest? And he says, yes. Ashani was the first person that we had on our podcast, you know, and I value that relationship and have developed that sort of community to say, you know, I'm here for you. I'm here giving you this motivation, this inspiration. We're delivering something that you're passionate about on a daily basis. Can you come help me? And that's a resource. People are resources. Okay. You can develop, that's kind of going into my how, but you can develop resources around like tangible things, like how to send email out or how to, build a website, something like that. You can build like online resources as well as people resources. And that's how you kind of get your message out there. That's how you portray your why, by developing all of these resources around this thing, around being Black in the horse industry and this experience. Developing all these resources is important, and your why explains that. So the how, y'all. How do you do that? Say yes. Say yes. When there are people that are, in the space that you want to be, and they either need assistance or are looking for someone to add to what they got going on, say yes. I've gotten so far in just the random things that I know how to do by just simply saying yes. Like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I will mix master cheerleading music and learn how to do it. That's fine, because I was a cheerleader in high school. Boom. Here we go 10 years later, and I know how to mix master music or mix master audio for a podcast. Okay. Like, there's so many skills that you can develop by simply saying yes. Like, yeah, I'm willing to learn that. I'm willing to do that for you. So honing in on your talents, saying yes, amassing, online resources, personal people resources. No one is the same. So everybody has something to add. If I called up, I don't even know, Picture Man right now, and I said, hey, I'm trying to get some really cool shots at this event. Can you tell me what kind of camera to get? He would know. He would know, because he has resources that he's amassed already. So networking is the how. Networking and research, pretty much. But network with people and figure out how what they already know can assist you in your why. So that is pretty much how you use those things that you learn in elementary school, honestly, to develop a community of resources. And that's how we've developed the community around YBE. It's been an amazing journey, and we couldn't have even had OG Festival without the support of that community. So we really, 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 really appreciate everything that everyone has added. We appreciate our sponsors. Let me name them off. State Line Tack, Sterling Essentials, Equitana, Never Not Goods, Dreamers and Schemers, and I know there were some more. All of the other ones. We would not have been able to host this event and share this with the world without the network that we have created around this young Black equestrians community. So thank you to everyone that participated. Thank you to everyone that attended. I hope that you have gained some nugget of knowledge from this event. It was the first time we've ever done something this big, and first time a trail ride has been held virtually. So please remember, if you went riding today, you can go to our Instagram page and see the instructions, but you just need to post a picture of your route and you'll have 3 prizes or 3 contests: longest time in the saddle, longest route, and best dress for the trail. So post the pictures, tag us, follow us, and honestly, let us know what y'all thought about this entire process. This might be something that YBE integrates into our community, actually doing this on a regular basis. But OG Festival, 30 years of trail riding that's being celebrated. So we did not want to let this go by and not have anything to add to our community, to our Black cowboy, Black horseman community. So thank you to everybody that is watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I didn't even drop it. I didn't even drop the comment for myself. I forgot. 35 years. Boom. 35 years of this. It's fantastic. Any questions? If y'all want to know how to start a podcast, we will tell you. Just hit us up afterwards. All right. I am going to give it a few more minutes. All right. Well, thank y'all for tuning in to OG Festival today. We're going to take a break. I'm not sure if music will play the entire time, but we're going to take a break until 7. Do you have tips for developing a community resources, kicking off a fundraiser for a nonprofit? Kayla, where you at? You want to hop back on here? So Pam, I think that when you need to figure out what it is that you want to do, what is your fundraising goal, and how big do you need to make this event, make this fundraiser to attain your goal? So like Saddle Up and Read did the t-shirts. We did it one time and got a very good response. But then the next time she's like, I want our goal to be $1,000. So when she posted again, I mean, she pushed it. She marketed it. She told everybody, if you already got your shirt, wear your shirt and tell people that you can get this shirt, So when you are, boom, there you go. When you are, trying to have resources around a fundraiser, I think you kind of need to know what your fundraising goals are going to be to figure out what you need to do to get that.
Yes. Because the last thing you want to do is to ask somebody for help, and what you want them to help with doesn't align with what they do. So I feel like that makes sense. And it's, that's like going to somebody about providing a certain service and they don't do that, and they're gonna kind of look at you like, well, did you even look at who we are? Did you look at what it is that we're about? So I would definitely say build relationships, talk to people, because you might talk to somebody and you wouldn't even think that they would be a resource, but they know somebody who could help, or they just have that network. So really network to find those resources. That's going to be the biggest thing, because how is someone going to know how they can help you if you don't know what it is that you're doing, and if you don't talk about it? So that is my biggest advice. And then plan properly for your fundraising events.
Proper planning prevents poor performance. Yeah.
So plan properly, Make sure you're keeping people updated with when it is, because it's easy to say, okay, we're going to have this event on XYZ date, and you only say it one time and never say it again. They're going to forget, like, oh, that's nice. I saw it that day. I liked it. I shared it. I never remembered what you said. So plan properly, and you should have a great turnout. And make sure that you're finding those key people to help you have a great turnout. Don't just leave it up to the people in your community. Like, yes, those people are important, but there are so many more resources outside of our community. If it wasn't for other people outside of Wendell, North Carolina, Saddle Up and Read would still be what it was in the beginning. So don't limit yourself to just the people that you know.
Yep.
I hope that helps.
Yeah. I was gonna say something. I forgot what it was, but there are a lot of free things out there.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have to pay for a lot of this stuff. Like Maisha said earlier, she's got a directory on her website. Black Equestrian Network is a directory specifically for Black horse businesses. We found resources that were free and did that, and are creating a community around it, and don't have that much of a financial investment. Like, Caitlin, did it cost you anything to start the fundraiser, the t-shirt fundraiser for Saddle Up and Read?
Nope. And because I was talking about it, someone reached out and they designed the t-shirt. They did that for free. They said, hey, how can I help? This is what I do. And I said, Abriana, how can this person help? This is what they do. And Abriana said, have them design the t-shirt. And that person did it. So that cost nothing. And then I got the check right here from the t-shirt fundraiser. We raised over $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't anything that was fancy. People used it for that particular fundraiser. We set the amount of the shirt, which I just chose $25, and you can choose any amount. But yeah, like you said, it was free. We didn't have to pay for the shipping. We didn't have to go buy t-shirts and drag t-shirts along. My days of tilting around t-shirts are over. I used to do that at trail rides. We would have 500 shirts and drive around and be like, hey, y'all want to buy a shirt? No, I'm not doing that. There's free resources.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah. And so how did you find out about that possibility of fundraising shirts like that?
I think there was a commercial for Custom Ink. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, you might as well use it. Because who is about to press anything on some t-shirts or do screen printing? We don't have time for that. Right. Over $300. So that's $300 we could just put into our nonprofit. So yeah, and just Google Pinterest, fundraising ideas. Those free platforms will pop up. So I would definitely, that all goes back to do your research. What is out there? What can be done now? Because there's stuff that you can just, promote right now that's not going to take any physical effort of like bringing people together in a space, especially with the pandemic happening. We can't just have, fish fries and chicken, the chicken plates all willy-nilly. And even that's going to take time and effort and money. So I would definitely start with something like a t-shirt fundraiser. And they didn't just have t-shirts. They had book bags and koozies and all of that stuff, keychains.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, it is 5:45. We did it again. So we're gonna let you guys go for the next hour, get you guys some dinner, come back and enjoy some music with DJ Mayer. We are going to raffle off the rest of our sponsored prizes. We're going to announce the winners of our trail ride competitions, and we're just going to listen to some music and have a good time.
Yes, I can't wait.
I'm excited. I am excited the most about not having to do the music. DJ life is really not for me. I enjoy it though. I enjoy trail ride music, so I'm excited to just hang out and dance.
Yes.
Oh, that's you.
That was me. Bring friends. Tell people. I need y'all to go tag everybody. Post this. Let them know, because we do not just have a DJ just to be playing all willy-nilly because he can do it. This is for everybody to enjoy. Yes. Please go share. Y'all have a good time. I'm excited. Really excited.
Yeah. All right. We will see you guys again at 7.
See ya.